Good morning, all. In this session, we'll discuss about conservation of biodiversity. In the previous three sessions, we had a discussion about meaning of biodiversity, then types of biodiversity which are exist in the uh, environment, then it means threaten to this biodiversity, how or what threats or what are the threats this biodiversity has. So that we were discussing in the previous sessions. Now it is about conservation of biodiversity. When it comes to the conservation of biodiversity, we need to conserve the entire ecosystem. It means all species, all biodiversity in this ecosystem should not be getting affected. If anything, one chain or one part of this ecosystem get affected, it means biodiversity get affected, so it will have a negative impact on the entire ecosystem. So in the previous session, I mentioned about the what happened in China when a Chinese leader announced that these birds and rats are the biggest enemies of farmers. They destroy the farm produce. Then the people started killing these birds. Then in the coming year, in the next year, immediately the entire country faced a severe food crisis. It means a food grain problem. The entire agricultural produce was reduced, it means it declined, and the country was in the problem. So that all these shows that if any one content or if any one element in the biodiversity get affected, that is like a chain reactions. Like how we know that atomic bomb, if that is also an effect of chain reaction. Same way, same thing happens here. If any one content, one component of this biodiversity, one living creature is getting affected, that will affect to the all entire ecosystem. It may be directly or indirectly. And to conserve this biodiversity, there are two approaches, which is one is inside their environment, another one is outside their environment. There are two approaches which are find out which are existing in this in this conservation of biodiversity. One is in situ conservation, that is related to within the organized natural environment. Like one, they own these organisms or many creatures, many species, they are living in their own environment, and that environment need to be protected. We should not affect that environment. We should not disturb that environment. So that is like within their own natural environment. It means we should create a space for these species, for these organisms, for these creatures, for these animals in their own natural environment. In their own natural environment is like forest, mainly a huge forest area we have, and that should not be deforested, and forest area should not be get affected. We should not enter this forest area. So that is like creating their own comfort zone in their home, in their house. Like we are living in a house. If anyone outsider comes to us our house and they start exploiting us, what we feel? Did we feel safety? No, we'll not feel safety in our house. Even in our house, if any one outsider comes to our house and start exploiting. So same thing happens in this biodiversity also. If you visit to forest, if you go to forest and if you start acquiring, and if you start exploiting a forest, if you start deforesting, then where these animals will go? That is animal, this forest is house of animals, not house of humans. So that should not be get affected. So this, under this approach, first in situ conservation approach, where creating their own environment or protecting their own environment, we should maintain balance in their own environment. We should not touch that forest area or natural environment. So it may involve many approaches under this first one, that is creating enacting legal protections, laws, rules, regulations. We have many rules, regulations. It may be a wildlife protection act, like this forest use of forest product prohibition act. Like that, there are many acts. These acts need to be enacted and should be try to protect the forest area. Forest area means their own natural environment. We should not it is like making rules for prohibiting the entry of a human to the forest area, reserve forest, or national for it means huge wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, all these. So that are strict rules, regulation, legal protection should be made for to protect the biodiversity. Then when it comes to the second one, establishing a reserves, establishing a reserve for specifically particular species, like for example, in India we have many of these kind of species where only particular area is located or particular area is identified only to protect that particular type of or that particular creature or animal. Like the popular, there are many, just I'll mention one or two. In Assam we have Kaziranga National Park. That Kaziranga National Park is only popular, or it is meant to protect the rhinos. In India, these rhinos are only, or majority of rhinos can be seen in this national park, Kaziranga National Park. And that area is made or identified as um, hotspot for these rhinos, and it is made as a national park where only these species are given more importance there. Then when it comes to tiger protection, where in Kudremukha we have, in Karnataka only it is there, in Kudremukha we have Kudremukha Tiger National Reserve Forest. So that is also one national park where it gives more importance to protect the tiger in that location. So like that, there are many national parks or many forests which are critically identified that only this species are and more, and that species, to protect that species, that entire area is considered as reserve forest or national park or like that. Then the next is about biodiversity hotspot, announcing or designating or creating a biodiversity hotspot where more number of natural habitats are found in that area. Like in India we have four biodiversity hotspots. In the previous discussions we were discussing that one is Western Ghats is the popular biggest biodiversity hotspots in India. It spreads over uh, different states. It spreads along three to four or five states: Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. So in all these states, this Western Ghats are spreaded. Then when it comes, then Eastern Himalayan parts. Then we have we have northeast states like Indo-Burma region. We have uh, Andaman Nicobar Island region. All are considered as biodiversity hotspots. These biodiversity hotspots are considered as critical points for the critical in the sense more species can be are identified here in that, and to protect these areas. So taking action to protect these areas and identifying these hotspots. Then next, it is preventing alien species that are threatened to other species. So like we have few animals or few species which affects the other species, or these species are threatened to other species or to the entire ecosystem. That should be prevented. It means that should be prevented in this ecosystem. Like few animals, they'll attack on the other animals. It may not be only for food, for many other purpose. It may be for territory conflict between these animals. How we people we dis, how we people we quarrel between among us for the land. Same way animals also, they have created their own territory in the forest. So sometimes it may be also a threat for other animals. All these are threatened to biodiversity. This should be avoided first. So these are the approaches within their own environment, how people try to protect their environment, to lead their life in their own environment. So these are the approaches where we can implement it. Then the next one is about ex situ. So that is outside their environment. Sometimes what happens, already the entire ecosystem is getting affected, and we know that many creatures, many species are in extinct, and already many species are already vanished from this planet. I was explaining about Tasmanian tiger. It is not at all not there at present right now. So in 1930s only, we found a last. We found it was only a last Tasmanian tiger which was located in New Zealand. That too in one zoo in 1930s. After that, we have not seen that. It has vanished completely vanished. And we also I was explaining about quagga. It is also it's like a mixed breed of zebra and like a horse or this donkey. So that kind of one zebra, that is also one unique distinct creature, but it is not there at now. It is not, it just vanished from this planet. It is already extinct. All these, because of these human uh, exploitation, human activities, many creatures are already vanished from this planet. How to protect which are in extinct, which are in the extinct level? So we can create artificial environment for them. So how we can create an artificial environment, like it may be a creation of zoos, or it may be a opening a zoo, botanical garden. In Bangalore also we have many botanical garden. The popular botanical garden is this in Bangalore we have one botanical garden. Not only one, there are many. One GKVK, Gandhi Krishi Vijnana Kendra, that is also one there is also one botanical garden. And we have Lal Bagh, that is also one botanical garden, where try to uh, try to protect all these plant which are in extinct level. That is only about the plant and this different trees in the botanical garden. And zoos, in the different zoos we try to protect animals. And this also, these zoos have become commercial things now at present, where people these zoos are opened for public visits, where it also a point of commercial money earning point. But the main idea behind this opening up of zoo is to try to protect animals which are in the extinct level, and try to give safety for them. But actually, when we put these animals in this zoo, is there is a freedom for them? That question arises. Is there is a freedom for them? So this definitely this question arises. There is no freedom if these animals are kept in zoo. And there is also one more option, that is living collection. Living collection, many people or many governments what they have planned this living collection concept. They give place for different animals. It means they uh, provide space for different animals to live in their own environment. It means creating one it's like own gardens or own this zoos. Many people have practiced this. They uh, take care about different animals. Mainly in India, that is very rarely we can find this, but in few foreign countries, in Western countries mainly, these kind of private zoos or these kind of living collections we can see. And these all are like external externally created environment, which is only for this maintaining or conserving this biodiversity. So this is about how we conserve the biodiversity. There are two approaches. One is in situ, that is inside their own environment. Ex situ, that is outside their environment. These two approaches are implemented, are identified to protect the biodiversity. Now we'll stop this discussion. Thank you.